Welcome to Ixunt Dragon. Here be dragons. So, by now, pretty much everyone has seen the Russian Su-27 dumping fuel all over an American drone before kicking on the afterburners in an apparent attempt to light it on fire. Now, while it seems like a logical conclusion, pretty creative and, dare I say, pretty awesome, it is really claimed more out of just humor, as actually lighting a drone on fire this way would be very, very hard given the speed at which it's traveling and how high up in the atmosphere it is, along with how easily jet fuel can evaporate. So it isn't something that's just going to happen that easily, and even if it did catch on fire, it's going to go out pretty quickly. So, one of the most common questions I've been getting from people is, why did they dump fuel on it in the first place? Well, I've heard a lot of other people claim that it was done so that sensors in the piston engine of the drone would fail, causing it to shut down, or perhaps to just flood the air intake with fuel. Now, it is actually a pretty decent theory, except for one itty bitty issue. The MQ-9 Reaper is a turboprop aircraft. So it's powered by a gas turbine, which is really just a jet engine. Instead of using the exhaust for thrust, the rotation of the turbine is used to drive the propeller, meaning a much smaller engine can be used. This also allows the propeller to be used, while staying much lighter than having to use a piston engine. Now, why a propeller? Well, prop aircraft can go much slower, and slow is best for taking pictures and video. They're also much more efficient at lower altitudes and lower speeds, rather than jet engines, which usually have to be at altitudes of well over 20,000 feet or more in order to be at peak efficiency. This is why we still see prop aircraft in use, even for military use, especially when it comes to providing air support to troops on the ground, such as the Super Tucano. And it has nothing to do with a lack of funds or being behind in technology. If anything, it's actually a sign of being ahead in technology. So, gas turbines are also notoriously stable, and almost any volatile hydrocarbon fuel will work. Gasoline, kerosene, diesel, ethanol, methanol, you name it. This is one of the reasons the M1 Abrams tank uses a gas turbine instead of a piston engine. Many fuel types can be used, which greatly simplifies supply logistics, which is the most crucial part of any military operation. So, if it can't light on fire, and it's not really going to affect the engine, then why? Well, they could possibly be dumping fuel to block communications for a bit, hoping that that'll cause it to crash. In the video, you do see the camera cut out just by the buffeting caused by the jets passing by. This happens because the antenna needs to be pointed perfectly towards the receiver, whether it's a satellite or a tower somewhere. And the smallest little issue is going to degrade or possibly even cut the signal out completely. However, even if that did work and the fuel blocked the signal for a bit, drones have backup systems that let them continue on even if communication is severely blocked, by something such as a very, very temporary fuel cloud. So, then again, why? Well, I'm pretty sure it's a really simple explanation, and that is just because a jet dumping fuel is going to be very, very noticeable, as we see. And the resulting expanding vapor cloud is also very, very noticeable. This is definitely going to get the drone operator's attention, as it did. And it's most likely going to make them want to get that $30 million drone as far away as possible from the seemingly suicidal Russian pilots, which is probably the exact reason they were sent in the first place to do this. The collision was really just an accident, though actually a pretty beneficial one for Russia. Now, the Russians have located the drone, and they just might recover it, which has resulted in another question: how bad is this? Well, it's not bad at all, really. These aren't the newest, latest technology, and by that, I mean they've been flown for a long time, and the technology has been perfected. So it's pretty guaranteed that Russia already knows everything about the hardware in use. And they can't do much with it anyways. Recreating the hardware requires really specialized facilities and materials, which Russia just can't get a hold of, especially in their current financial state. And what really makes a drone so powerful is the software that they run. The hardware itself isn't really all that impressive, and it's actually useless without the proper software. Now, the drones do contain methods of destroying the software, and in fact, a lot of it's even actually ran remotely instead of physically on the drone, so it's not a big worry at all. Anyways, have a great day.